Good morning, fourth graders. We are going to start chapter 29 of the Aurora County All-Stars. We left off with Finesse and House having their first positive interaction of the book on page 178. They've had a lot of conflict and tension, and then the end of chapter 28 was the first time they've really been able to laugh and be lighthearted around one another. And Finesse ends chapter 28 asking House if she'll see him tomorrow for practice, and he says no. So House is feeling down. He's hurt his elbow while practicing. He's frustrated that he pushed for the pageant and the ball game, and now everything's feeling chaotic. And it seems like he, at this moment, is not willing to participate or play or be there. So we'll see if anything changes in chapter 29. Okay, chapter 29 starts off with a quote by Walt Whitman. "It is a beautiful truth that all men contain something of the artist in them." Here we go. House's father waved goodbye as Pip and Finesse disappeared down the lane. "Almost done," he said to House as he walked back to the shed. House ate some cold supper, showered until there was no more hot water, and went to bed early on the sleeping porch with leaves of grass. His heart etched itself around every memory of his mother he could muster, every memory of Mr. Norwood Boyd he could imagine. Soon he sensed a presence in the shadows at his door. "I know that book," said his father. House's face colored up. "It was Mama's. Mr. Norwood Boyd gave it to me." His father nodded. "I remember it. Let me show you my favorite." House handed him the book, and his father took it with great tenderness. "Let's see, where is it? It reminds me of what a symphony people make together." House blinked. "What did you say?" "Your mother used to say it all the time," said his father. "No matter what happens," she'd say, "it's part of the symphony true. She even said her death would be part of the symphony." House swallowed. "Do you believe that?" His father rifled carefully through the book, looking for his favorite poem. "I guess I do. We take the bad with the good. We take the night with the day. Somehow, it all works out." He smiled at House. "Look, here's the one I like. I'll read it to you." House lay back against the pillows on the headboard and listened. "I hear America singing. I hear America singing, the varied carols I hear, those of mechanics, each one singing his as it would be, blithe and strong. The carpenter singing his as he measures his plank or beam, the mason singing his as he makes ready for work or leaves off work, the boatman singing what belongs to him in his boat, the deckhand singing on the steamboat deck, the shoemaker singing as he sits on his bench, the hatter singing as he stands, the woodcutter's song, the plowboy's on his way in the morning, or at noon intermission, or at sundown, the delicious singing of the mother, or of the young wife at work, or of the girl sewing or washing, each singing what belongs to him, to her, and to none else. The day what belongs to the day, at night the party of young fellows, robust, friendly, singing with open mouths their strong, melodious songs." House sighed. Their strong, melodious songs. "It's good." He sat up and crossed his legs in bed. "Let me see that arm," said his father. "It'll sleep better with a little support." He began to wrap the arm gently in a loose bandage, carefully avoiding the bruised elbow, and House let him. A night breeze raked through the leaves on the trees, while the moon hung low on the horizon. Honey snored little girl snores from her bedroom, and Eudora snuffled next to her. "How are you, son?" asked House's father. House approached the problem. "Everything's mixed up." "Lots of clangor," said his father. House raised his eyebrows. Did Mama sing you the symphony song? She did. I didn't know that. Now you do. His father finished the bandaging and began to massage House's shoulder. That feel okay? House nodded. The ball game's a mess. I know, said his father. House chewed on his lower lip. I don't know what to do about that. Maybe you don't have to do anything. It's complicated, said House. I guess it is, son, but at heart, it's real simple. It is what it is. It just is. Even if I can't ever play baseball again, even if you can't ever play baseball again, but you'll play again. The old clock ticked away in the hallway. A long time ago, Mr. Norwood Boyd had refused to play ball ever again. Pip should have been his teammate. Not so long ago, Jackie Robinson claimed a place on the field for Pip, for Clebo. Not so long ago, Pee-wee claimed a place for House, so House could stand tall, reach back, and claim a place for Mr. Norwood. In turn, without even understanding what he was doing, House had made a place for Ruby, for Finesse, for the Aurora County All-Stars. And now, in his anger and frustration, he had lost his own place. He had hurt himself. I don't know what to do now. You can show up. House sighed, washed in sadness. Lie down, said his father. And like he did when he was a little boy, House slid himself down the headboard and onto the bed. His father covered him with just the top sheet. It was too hot for blankets, although by morning he would want one. House sank his head into his pillow. He might look like Mr. Norwood Boyd, lying there, maybe in 100 years. What would Mr. Norwood say if he were here? Asked his father. House thought about it. He'd ask me to finish Treasure Island. Leonard Jackson nodded. So, he'd ask you to finish what you started. Yeah, House whispered. He closed his eyes against the day. Do you think we have any chance of winning? His father tucked his son's arm at his side and stroked his forehead once. You've already won, House. Not like that, House said. I want to win for real. His father put leaves of grass on the night table and clicked off the light. In the tenderness that darkness brought, he added one more thought. House, we are born, we live, and we die. Along the way, we learn to love, if we're lucky. That's what your mother taught me. The night noises faded as sleep came, and House felt it again, that feeling he'd had when he'd thought to combine the ball game and the pageant. It was a symphony, true, and he was part of it. That's what his mother and Mr. Norwood had known. They were, all of them, part of the same song. Everything in the world, everything outside the world, all of it. The snakes that slithered in the grass, the crows that called from the trees, the people who lived and died, the stars that hung in the sky. House imagined the life that had been Mr. Norwood Boyd's, the boy. He imagined the life that had been Walt Whitman's, the poet. He imagined the life that belonged to Finesse, the artist, Pip, the barber, Ruby, the catcher, Melba, the assistant, Clebo, the angry friend, Bunch, the undertaker, and himself, House, the what? What was he? He was many things, just as everyone, tout le monde, was many things. He was his mother's son, for one thing. He had been an old man's friend, for another. He was glad. Okay, 4th grade. I'm going to pause right here. I want to go back to this particular part of the book and talk about it a little bit. This chapter, I think, is a great chapter. House and his father have not had very many conversations that are deep in the book up until now. He and his father seem to have a good relationship, but we haven't really seen any conversations with him and his dad that indicate a lot of closeness. This, I think, is the first time they're really talking about some big things rather than just having casual chatting and talking about honey or the day or food or that kind of stuff. But in this chapter, his dad reads a poem to him, his favorite poem. His dad talks about his mother. So this is definitely a chapter where we see a little bit of development between the relationship of House and his father. There's also this paragraph. I'm going to read this paragraph again. The old clock ticked away time in the hallway. A long time ago, Mr. Norwood Boyd had refused to play ball ever again. Pip should have been his teammate. Not so long ago, Jackie Robinson claimed a place on the field for Pip, for Clebo. Not so long ago, Pee-wee claimed a place for House, so House could stand tall, reach back, and claim a place for Mr. Norwood. In turn, without even understanding what he was doing, House had made a place for Ruby, for Finesse, for the Aurora County All-Stars. And now, in his anger and frustration, he had lost his own place. He had hurt himself. I think, for me, that paragraph is one of the most powerful paragraphs of this chapter. And the reason I think that is because it's referencing some things earlier in the story and in history of the United States as a country, talking about people not being allowed to play. The Jackie Robinson piece and Pip not being allowed to play baseball, that's referencing, pre the civil rights movement when black people weren't given the same rights as white people. The fact that House is noticing some of these things and connecting it to his actions is a big piece of this chapter. House says, or when it says in this paragraph, in turn, without even understanding what he was doing, House had made a place for Ruby. That's talking about the whole story. All the boys have said, no girls, no girls, no girls are allowed to play baseball. And House changed that, and he told Ruby that she could be the catcher, especially when he was having that fight with Clebo, and he said, yeah, you can catch, you can play. So those moments, there's a lot of pieces right now that are coming together. Jackie Robinson being one of the first Major League black baseball players to kind of break the color barrier. Mr. Norwood Boyd refusing to play baseball because his friend Pip, who was black, wasn't allowed to play. And House, for the first time, allowing a girl to play. It's kind of showing you these different examples of people who are opening the door for other people, who are giving other people an opportunity, people who haven't had an opportunity before. So there's a lot of connection here, and it reminds me of that idea of the symphony true and everything coming together. So this paragraph I just really wanted to point out because I like how the author wrote it, and I like how the author is connecting House to Norwood, to Clebo, to Jackie Robinson, to Ruby. There's all of these characters that are kind of doing similar things for other people and standing up for other people, especially people who are different from themselves in some way, whether it be race or gender or what have you. So that is the end of our chapter. That is the end of chapter 29. But I'm going to read this page. It's a little bit different than the other pages. So like this is the end of the chapter, and then we've got this over here. So I'll read you what this says. It's a note or a notice. It says, please do not remove these instructions from the telephone pole by the backstop. To all players on the Aurora County All-Stars July 4th pageant team. How to hit the ball by House Jackson. It is not necessary to spit, beat the plate with your bat, chew gum, or wear a baseball cap. It is necessary to master the fundamentals of batting. Number 1, remove all tiaras. Wear a batting helmet, even if it messes up your hair. Your brains are more important than your hair. Number 2, pick a bat that isn't too heavy for you. If you fall over when you pick up your bat, it is too heavy. Number 3, don't grip the bat at the very end. This is why you look like you are golfing. Don't grip the bat too close to the sweet spot, or the ball will smash your hands. Number 4, keep your feet apart, but not too far apart. Save the splits for the pageant numbers. Bend your knees a little, but none of that yoga stuff at the plate. And no standing on your toes, ballerinas. This is a ball game. Number 5, crouch over a little bit, but don't crowd the plate or the catcher can't see. Don't jump backward every time a pitch is thrown. You can't hit the ball while you are jumping backward. Number 6, don't close your eyes and swing as each pitch is thrown. You can't hit the ball if you close your eyes. The ball is more likely to hit you. Number 7, don't slug your guts out with each swing. Just meet the ball with your bat. That's all you need to do. The pitcher's job is to throw the ball over the plate. If he doesn't, if he throws wide, too high, or too low, do not swing at it. Number 8, if you hit the ball, run. Run to first base, not to third. Don't try to watch the ball while you run. It's your job to get to first base. First base is straight up and to the right of home plate. Number 9, take advice. Don't stomp your foot and walk off when you don't get your way. Also, dogs are not allowed to run with people down the baselines. This is an accident waiting to happen. Number 10, stay off the field when you are not at bat. And no more fainting. Wear a hat, drink water, bring a fan. It gets hot out here. So that was a rather funny list from House of how to hit the ball and how to play baseball for people who are in the pageant and playing in the game who have no experience. I thought that was kind of sweet. The next page, written in different font, this I believe is from Finesse, so I'm also going to read this. Presented as a primer for participants in the Aurora County Birthday Pageant. How to dance La Danse Moderne, or You Can Never Have Too Much Glitter. By Finesse Schatz, Artistic Director of the pageant, student of La Danse Moderne at the prestigious Lanyard School in Jackson, Mississippi, and passionate devotee of dance greats, Martha Graham, Dance is Just Discovery, 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 and the amazing Katherine Dunham. Go within every day and find the inner strength so that the world will not blow your candle out. Dear pageant participants, the body is a sacred garment. Martha said that. It is so true. And in La Danse Moderne, you are the instrument you play. There are no right moves except for the movement that moves you. What do you feel? That is so important. Important. We will engage in ear wiggling, neck twisting, shoulder shaking, elbow jutting, knee jerking, foot stomping, and more, in an effort to loosen up the stodgy mental thinking that traps our body's sense of freedom and lightness and inhibits us. Plan to learn the dances as they are created, step by stretch, by twist, by wiggle. Wear loose-fitting clothing to each practice. Practice dancing barefoot. Be prepared to wear appropriate costuming, which will include bark, ribbons, fur, fake of course, beads, tights, colanders, face paint, leaves and twigs, and whatever else appears. Have fun. La Danse Moderne is nothing if not an interpretation of your spirit's sweetness and pain, as well as an expression of the joy of life and living. Okay, so we had two different documents, one by House and one by Finesse, and that puts an official close on the end of chapter 29. So I will see you tomorrow, 4th graders, for chapter 30, and we will see what happens with the pageant and the ball game. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.